Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive is Base Power co-founder and CEO, Zach Dell. Hi, Zach. Explain to us how these batteries work and pretend you're talking to an audience that maybe is a bit skeptical about battery storage.
Sure. So we install batteries on homes of our customers, and we use those batteries to support the grid when the grid's up and running. So we charge the batteries when the price of power is low, and call it midnight to 4 in the morning when not a lot of people are using electricity, or in the middle of the day when the sun is shining and there's lots of solar energy being produced. And then we discharge the batteries when the price of power is high. So in those peak hours of demand where supply and demand are crunched, that's when we're discharging the batteries. Really what we do is we build power plants, and we build these power plants in a distributed manner out of batteries and software. And we use technology and vertical integration to build those power plants very fast and very cost effectively.
How much power can they store, these batteries?
The batteries can store on the order of a day's worth of backup for the average single family home. Now, we will install up to 2 batteries per home if your home has room for it. But the interesting thing about the power plants that we build is we actually aggregate all of these batteries together via software, and we bid them into the wholesale power markets as if they're one big battery. So in the deregulated parts of the market in Texas, and in future markets for us like Illinois and Ohio and parts of the Northeast, we bid these batteries into the wholesale power markets, and we sell power directly to homeowners and install batteries on their homes. And then in the regulated parts of the market, we build power plants out of these batteries and software for our utility partners all over the country, and specifically in parts of Texas that are regulated utility areas.
I can hear the viewers saying, well, how much does this cost? So what are the installation costs? And there's this perception, I think you're very well aware of it, that natural gas is so much cheaper than everything. So can you tell me what the cost benefit is?
Yeah, so the battery is a fraction of the cost of a home generator or a traditional home battery, because we own and operate the battery when you're not using it. And then when you need the battery, when the grid goes out, you get it to back up your home. So it's on the order of 95% cheaper than the alternatives. Today, we charge $695 up front for one battery, $995 up front for 2 batteries, and then $19 a month for one, $29 a month for 2. And then our customers save on the order of 10 to 20% a month on electricity. As we roll out new versions of the product and our technology gets better, our manufacturing scale gets larger, we'll be able to drop those prices for consumers and pass on incremental cost savings to our members.
You know, the Texas power grid is really one of the most fragile, through no fault in many ways than just the weather. There are extremely hot days, you know, above 100 degrees. And then, of course, there are the frozen moments where a couple of years ago we saw a deadly ice storm that was just horrific, and so many people were left without heat. So tell me about the partnership that you've got launching with El Paso Electric, and what that actually means. You know, you just announced that, and how will it help strengthen the grid, if at all?
Yeah, we're really excited about this one, and is one of a number of utility partnerships with utilities across the state of Texas and soon across the rest of the U.S. Now, El Paso is particularly interesting because it's the first partnership we have with an investor-owned utility, and actually El Paso Electric is outside of ERCOT, even though it's in the state of Texas. So what we're doing for El Paso is we're building them a mini power plant, and we're doing it very fast and very cost effectively to add capacity to their grid to support load growth in the area. So they have a bunch of demand coming. They don't have enough supply in a certain area. They say, hey, Base, can you go deploy batteries in this area to alleviate this stress on the grid? We deploy these batteries very quickly. We build in this power plant. They can use those batteries to alleviate that stress, and it's a win-win for both of us. We're now doing this with a number of utilities across the state of Texas, and very soon with utilities across the entire United States.
Really quickly, I know you're mostly residential at this moment and primarily in Texas, but do you foresee a possibility of doing business at some of the big data centers, these artificial intelligence energy suckers?
Yeah, we think there's a more interesting way to do business with the data center developers than putting batteries at the data center. So if you're a data center developer, you have some amount of land, and you should probably use all of that land for GPUs and building compute. You're also not an energy developer. You're a data center developer. And so you don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about behind the meter batteries and solar and gas. And so what we are working on is a mechanism by which we can deploy batteries around data centers and push power to the grid while the data center is pulling power, such that we can offset the load of the data center and free up headroom on those substations, on those circuits, to accelerate the interconnection and increase the availability, the capacity available for more data centers to get grid connected.
Well, you're partnering with Lennar, the home builder. I would imagine more partnerships will follow. We will follow the story, Zach. You have raised about $1.3 billion from all kinds of investors, including Andreessen Horowitz. So we will continue to watch it. Thank you very much for joining us.